I am the daughter of a wealthy merchant, married into the Marquis's mansion to ward off bad luck. But on the first day of the wedding, the old Marquis choked on his medicine and died. The next day, my sister-in-law fell into the water and drowned. The third day, my brother-in-law fell off his horse and died. A month later, the entire mansion was left with only me and the young Marquis. We stared at each other in SOC. The young Marquis wanted to divorce me, to save his own life. But before he could finish writing the divorce letter, the emperor sent him to the border to fight the enemy. As expected, a month later, a servant brought back news of his death. I held a funeral for the young Marquis. Looking at the desolate mansion, I couldn't help but sigh. Now my reputation as a jinx has spread throughout the streets again. Everyone avoids me like the plague. The vast mansion is left with only me and a few old servants. As for the other servants, they all feared my reputation, and resigned one by one. Logically, I now have the final say in the mansion. I should be happy. Even though it was a marriage to ward off bad luck, as a merchant's daughter, marrying a distinguished young Marquis as his legal wife, I was incredibly lucky. But I didn't expect the Marquis's mansion to have so many enemies. The next night, I was attacked. At that time, I was sitting at the table reviewing Otsu books. The next second, several black-clad men broke through the window. They spread out a portrait, and compared it to me a few times. It's her, the woman who killed the Marquis's family. I was shocked. Who are you? The black-clad man drew his sword and sneered. You don't need to know. Anyway, even if you scream your lungs out now, no one will come to save you. I stepped back in fear, and screamed desperately, broken throat. Broken throat. Damn it. Is this really the time for that old joke? I kicked over the table, blocking the black-clad man's advance, buying time for the old servant outside. The Marquis's family had a distinguished military record, so even the servants had some skills. Uncle Wen stood in front of me. Madam, leave this to this old servant. You must escape quickly. I hurriedly ran out, but Uncle Wen couldn't fight off so many, and let one assassin chase after me. Seeing the blade getting closer and closer, I broke out in a cold sweat. When I came to my senses, I had already run to the Marquis's ancestral hall. The dark hall had no lights on, and the rows of spirit tablets looked desolate and eerie in the moonlight. Accept your fate. You have nowhere to go. The assassin's voice came from behind me. My heart turned cold. I faced away from him, afraid to turn around, and could only keep begging the young Marquis's spirit tablet. Husband, I'm so scared. Save me. Save me. The assassin laughed grimly. Ha ha ha. What's the use of begging a dead man's spirit tablet? You might as well kowtow to me twice, and I'll make sure you die quickly. The footsteps grew closer. Through his shadow, I could already see the raised long knife. At that critical moment, I grabbed the young Marquis's spirit tablet and spun around. I am the youngest daughter of Old Man Adi, spoiled since childhood. Although I'm not skilled in service, I've never been short of money. I've never presided over a funeral, but I know using the most expensive is always right. The young Marquis's spirit tablet was carefully chosen by me. To ensure it was impressive, it was wrapped in gold inside, extremely sturdy, weighing dozens of Gene. The assassin was caught off guard and sent flying by the tablet, rolling 3 times and hitting the doorframe. He spat out blood through his mask. His eyes filled with disbelief. Even his voice sounded fragile. This isn't a spirit tablet. Did you make it out of stone? Husband, I knew you cared for me. Even in death, you'll protect me. His expression was indescribable. Before he could speak, the young Marquis cracked. No, the young Marquis's spirit tablet cracked, revealing the glittering gold inside. The assassin's eyes were full of SOC. He probably never expected someone as generous as me to arrange such a low-key but extremely meaningful spirit tablet for her husband. But this assassin was very professional. He struggled to get up from the ground, and still wanted to kill me. Ah, no! I cried bitterly, hugging the spirit tablet and running out. Husband, save me! Save me! Save me! Save me! But the tablet was too heavy. I couldn't run 2 steps before I was out of breath. So heavy! Damn it, husband! Since it's so heavy, just put it down and run for your life. The assassin couldn't take it anymore. His voice was too loud. I was startled, and tripped on my skirt, falling forward. The spirit tablet in my hand flew out. The 10+ Gene tablet, like a wild bull, charged out, and smashed directly into the ancestral hall's pillar. Cracks spread from the pillar to the ceiling, and dust began to fall. Crack! The beam started to break. The walls began to collapse. The assassin and I stared in SOC. Seeing the hall about to fall, I reacted first and rushed forward, frantically trying to pry the tablet embedded in the pillar. No, no! My husband, the assassin grabbed me. Forget your damn husband. The hall is collapsing. No, I sobbed. At a time like this, can't you see I'm a lovesick fool? I can see that, the assassin said, a vein bulging on his forehead. But don't focus on the spirit tablet, Oku. Just then, Uncle Wen and the remaining black-clad men had fought their way here. He seemed overwhelmed. Madam, Be careful. Uncle Wen's old bones couldn't hold up, and he fell to the ground, reaching out with an Urkong hand. Don't worry, this old servant will protect you. Then get up. Uncle Wen, I cried, hugging the pillar. Lying on the ground, are you protecting this land? Uncle Wen couldn't get up, and could only shout at me helplessly, Madam, run. If you have martial arts and are lithe, what about me, this delicate little flower? I wiped my tears, looking at the assassin nearby and the black-clad men in the yard, wolves ahead, tigers behind. It seems I'm destined to die here tonight. Thinking this, my eyes blurred with tears, and I resolutely clung to the spirit tablet, looking like I was ready to die. Husband, since heaven wants me dead, then I will die with you. Die, Uncle Wen, with tears in his old eyes, before fainting, shouted at me, Madam, even if not for yourself, think of the child in your womb. Clang! The assassin's hand shook, and his long sword fell to the ground. He looked at me, his pupils shaking. Then the other black-clad men trembled and gasped. A child, one of them said joyfully. What do you mean? Am I going to be a grand? The black-clad man next to him nudged him, and his words stopped abruptly. Is it just me? Or does his voice sound like my mother-in-law? They exchanged glances, and even stopped chasing me. Are you saying you're pregnant? The assassin next to me had a trembling voice. I didn't want to look at him. Isn't it obvious? If the family's property goes to the government, and the Marquis's mansion is left with only an outsider, the emperor hasn't touched the mansion's assets yet. Isn't it because I'm pregnant? If this is a little prince, he'll be the heir to the Marquis 8, the next Marquis. The hall was already crumbling. The assassin twisted his slender fingers, casually dug, and pulled the spirit tablet out of the pillar. He picked me up. I felt his movements were somewhat careful. The next second after we left the hall, it collapsed into ruins. The black-clad men were stunned. One of them finally reacted, staring at the ruins with wide eyes. The next second, someone stepped on his foot, and he successfully advanced. He also glanced at me carefully. This is indeed the Marquis's ancestral hall, but why is he so excited? Seeing my puzzled expression, the assassin stopped in his tracks. He put me down and stepped back 2 steps, then coughed up blood again. Damn it, that spirit tablet just now seriously injured me. I can't hold on. Don't fake an injury. I hit your face just now. But he clearly didn't want to listen to me, and kept spitting blood at me. One of the black-clad men reacted quickly, and flew over. Brother, hold on. Damn it, the Marquis's mansion is indeed full of experts. They could seriously injure me. Next time, you won't be so lucky. Little ones, let's go. The next morning, I shot up from the bed. The glittering spirit tablet was placed by my bedside. I quickly went to check it, and after confirming it was fine, my heart settled. Xiao Cui heard me get out of bed, came in to help me wash and handed me water. Madam, how do you feel? I shook my head, still a bit dizzy, a bit lightheaded. Then I'll go get the imperial physician. Xiao Cui was about to leave, when I remembered something, and grabbed her sleeve. Oh, where's Uncle Wen? Xiao Cui said. Uncle Wen twisted his waist last night, and is now lying in bed, unable to get up. I breathed a sigh of relief, and waved for her to get the physician. The mansion currently had no doctor on duty. The emperor, sympathizing with my loneliness, had specially allowed Physician Li to stay in the mansion, to take care of me. Xiao Cui returned with Physician Li, and at the same time, a cold, veiled woman followed beside him. Madam, this is my niece. Su. Her voice sounded muffled, as if deliberately lowered. Don't be fooled by her youth. Her medical skills are no worse than mine. Since you are a woman, many things are inconvenient, so I took the liberty of bringing her to serve you. I hope you'll agree. So he was finding a job for his niece. I slowly nodded. Since Physician Li recommended her, I naturally trust her. Women in the Jin Kingdom have low status. If she has this ambition, I'm happy to help her. She quickly stepped forward to take my pulse, looking quite serious. After a while, a hint of smile appeared on her face. Madam, your health is good, and the child is fine. You should eat light food recently. If you crave something, be sure to ask first. Physician Li and I naturally agreed. But despite that, I've been suffering from morning sickness badly lately, and can't even eat my favorite peach blossom pastry. I can't eat it. I have Suzu's pear cake. I was craving it badly. Pei Suzu was the old Marquis's youngest daughter, my cheap sister-in-law. Besides being an excellent musician, she could also make incredibly delicious pear cake. I wanted the recipe the first time I tried it, but she refused to teach me. And she seemed to look down on me. Not like those elegant noble ladies. Pei Suzu was always wary of me. I thought there would be time later, but she drowned the next day. Seeing my sad expression, Madam, what's wrong? I shed a tear. Your name sounds familiar, reminding me of Suzu. I miss her pear cake so much. I held Suzu's hand, filled with regret. If I had known, I would have beaten my sister-in-law and forced her to give me the recipe. Suzu's eyes widened. You entered the mansion the second day, and Miss Suzu died. Why would you miss her? After all, we became family. So not giving me the pear cake recipe was really unfair of her. It's a pity I never got close to her before she left. If she were still alive, I would have pear cake to eat. Thinking I'll never taste that deliciousness again, I couldn't help but start crying again. My tears were very sincere. Suzu's pupils trembled, and she held my hand tightly, her will seeming to waver. I didn't expect you to think that way. I didn't know what she was thinking, standing there motionless. Then I understood. The mansion now had few servants. If she was willing to serve me, I should show my appreciation. But I had just woken up, and didn't have my money pouch on me. What to do? I couldn't say, wait for me, I'll go get it from my room now. Physician Lee was still here. How embarrassing. After thinking it over, I looked at my wrist, where a large gold bracelet lay. I've always been generous. This was originally meant to bribe pay Suzu, but what a coincidence. Suzu, this was meant for Suzu. But I didn't have time. You're about the same age, and your names are so similar. It's fate. Take it. You even prepared a gift for me? Madam, I'm ashamed. I'm terrible. It's just a gold bracelet. What is this silly child saying? This child grew up poor, and has never seen anything good. The next morning, I was surprised to see a full plate of pear cake on the table. Besides that, there were many other small pastries. Ah, madam, you're awake. Miss Suzu, hearing you haven't been eating well, specially prepared these pastries for you. She left 3 high, as if knowing I would ask. Shall see you. I smiled. Coincidentally, when Miss Suzu went to the kitchen, she accidentally found the pear cake recipe Miss Suzu had hidden. I took a bite and looked up in surprise. This tastes exactly like Suzu's. With Suzu making me pastries, my appetite improved a lot. My morning sickness gradually subsided, and my sleep became more peaceful. But I used to go to the ancestral hall to pay respects before bed. Since the attack, the hall was now just ruins. I had no choice but to temporarily pay respects in a side room. I entered the narrow side room. The glittering spirit tablets dazzled my eyes. But I treated the young Marquis and the others equally, all wrapped in gold inside. So the hall collapsed, but the tablets remained. I knelt on the cushion, hands clasped together. Ancestors of the Marquis's mansion, please bless this child to be born safely. Husband, if you have a spirit in heaven, please take care of our child. Mother, don't you love children the most? I rambled on for a long time, and the candle in front of the tablets had burned down a bit. Seeing it was about time, I just stood up, when my arm accidentally bumped into the cabinet next to me. It didn't hurt, but it annoyed me. I rubbed my arm and muttered. I need to rebuild the ancestral hall quickly. Crammed in this small space. Even if they become ghosts, they must be unable to straighten their backs. Just after I said that, a snicker came from above me. I looked up in surprise, and met a pair of beautiful peach blossom eyes. A masked man was sitting on the beam, staring at me. This is the assassin from that day. I turned in panic. At least let me take my husband's spirit tablet. Still thinking about the spirit tablet first? The assassin roared, jumping down and grabbing my shoulder. Run, you can't escape. Who hired you? How much did they pay you? I'll give you double. Sorry, I'm a professional assassin. Since I took the job, I won't betray my client. Besides, isn't there plenty of gold here? That's enough. Oomph. How can this be? But what he said makes sense. Then what do I have to do for you not to kill me? By the way, profiting from the dead is wrong. The assassin didn't speak, staring at me for a long time. Just as I thought he was spacing out, he suddenly said, but don't worry. Even though I took the job, I won't cross the line. I don't kill women and children. Wait, weren't you trying to kill me half a month ago? What do you mean? I may be a bit careless, but I'm still a woman. Because now you are both a woman and a child. He stared at me seriously. Not a woman and a child. I was stunned for a moment, then touched my belly in realization. How can this be? I widened my eyes in SOC, but what he said makes sense. Seeing my convinced expression, he was silent for a moment. Then he muttered, and I doubted. Someone with this IQ could be a spy. What spy? Since you're not going to kill me, what are you here for tonight? Since I'm not killing you, the job is off. I can't go back now, and you look rich. How about I work for you? Think about it. It's not easy to find a guard as good as me. The assassin seemed a bit nervous. I blinked. then felt a bit surprised. Of course I know he's telling the truth. I saw his skills before. Where can you find a guard like him on the market? Besides, everyone in the capital avoids me like a snake. Who would be willing to follow me? Oh cool. If you can protect me well, I'll pay you whatever you want. Oh, what's your name? The assassin seemed relieved, and even his tense demeanor relaxed. He leaned against the wall. Though masked, I couldn't see his face, but his every move had an undeniable presence. Just call me Li Chun. Madam, Li Chun? I was startled, then looked at the young Marquis's spirit tablet. The words third-generation Marquis, Pei Lin Chuan's position, were very prominent. Li Chun said that for close protection. I didn't need to prepare a room for him. He would just guard the door. But he was quite attentive, constantly bringing water and tea, and even serving me food. I think it's because the other day I rewarded him with a bag of gold leaves, having an extra guard out of nowhere. Suzu wasn't very surprised, but she always looked at Li Chun with some disdain. That day, Suzu was taking my pulse when Xiao Cui came in. Madam, the craftsman said the items you ordered have arrived. Do you want to see them now? Suzu paused, then continued taking my pulse. When I heard, I happily shouted, quick, have them bring them in. Xiao Cui hurriedly agreed and left. Li Chun raised an eyebrow. What did you order? I smiled slightly. Without the ancestral hall to pay respects, I feel uneasy, so I've been working on repairing it. It's finished now, but when I put the spirit tablets back, I felt something was wrong. The sight of them, filling the altar and walls, constantly reminds me that they've all become cold tablets. People's memories fade over time. When I bring my child here in the future, they'll probably have forgotten them all. If he grabs my skirt and asks, what did grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, and dad look like? No, thinking of that scene, my heart aches. The craftsman arrived, bringing a dozen wooden boxes. Suzu turned away, unable to bear looking. Li Chun's puzzled gaze shifted from Suzu. I looked at those wooden boxes. I stepped forward and opened the wooden box, revealing what the craftsman had meticulously carved from gold. The heads of the dozen or so members of the Marquis's household. This is it. Look at the proportions, look at the grain, look at the detail, it's lifelike. Absolutely lifelike. I believe they were just chopped off a neck. As long as I mount these heads on the memorial tablets, every time my child defeats a family member, they'll know what that person looked like, and I'll have their faces etched deep into my memory. This way, it's like they're still with me, in a way. Thinking of this, I shed tears of emotion. Li Chun fell silent, and Suzu fell silent too. Madam, how did the craftsman know what the Marquis's family looked like? I was troubled at first too. Seeing how distressed I was, Suzu suggested we look for portraits in Chongyan's study. Pei Chongming was the young Marquis's younger brother. Because he was frail, he rarely left the house. He spent his days tinkering with ink and paper. I figured he must have painted portraits of the Marquis's family. I said happily, I didn't think we'd actually find them. All thanks to Suzu. Li Chun looked at Suzu in disbelief. Suzu looked down, avoiding his gaze. His wife likes me, so of course I had to help him think of something. I shoved the head of the old Marquis into Li Chun's hands. Look, isn't it well made? The old Marquis was the head of the family, so his head was the most expensive. Precious red gems were specially used for the eyes. To make it look friendly, I had 8 white jade teeth inlaid for him, making his smile more realistic. It's truly identical. Under the gold head, I made a slot for the memorial tablet. I fixed them one by one, but I quickly found a problem. The tablets were flat, but the heads were three-dimensional. The original space wasn't enough. Li Chun and Suzu seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. They both came to comfort me, saying, "It's okay, madam. We know you did it for the child, but your intention is what matters." As I slowly curled my lips, their voices grew quieter. This isn't a problem for me. Even though there's no space on the walls, there's still the ceiling, and looking up more is good for the neck. Seeing this scene, even Physician Li closed his eyes. I asked Li Chun, what do you think? Madam, this is simply, but it's best to keep your mood pleasant. No big ups and downs. It's really great. Perhaps because it was nearing the second month, Li Chun and Suzu asked for a month's leave. I said I understood. Who wouldn't want to spend New Year's with their family? Even though all my family members have passed away, I can't just stop others from going home. Luckily, Uncle Wen's injuries had healed, and he returned to serve by my side. At that point, I started worrying about another matter. Even though I was pregnant, I couldn't avoid the New Year's Eve banquet at the palace, and as the wife of the Marquis, my seat would be very close to the Emperor and Empress. I had never attended a banquet for nobles before. What if I made a fool of myself? I pulled Xiao Cui aside to say my worries. We discussed it for most of the night. Xiao Cui said that even nobles lie precious things. I shook my head. What treasures haven't you seen? I haven't seen them trample my doorstep for some gem. On the contrary, they'd spend millions of gold on a single painting. But when my father gave them gold, I saw their eyes narrow into slits. I concluded they lie things with depth, but still expensive. Paintings have depth, but aren't valuable in themselves, so they're willing to pay a high price to make them expensive. Xiao Cui thought that made sense. Her eyes sparkled. Madam, then bring out all my gold and diamond bracelets. 50 large diamond-studded gold bracelets covered both my arms. I draped my robe over them, hiding them all. My arms under the robe were incredibly thick. I was wearing Michelin tires. I asked Xiao Cui, well, isn't this both low-key and expensive? Debt, madam, but I feel something's off. It's normal for you to feel that way, because you're not used to it yet. But those nobles are different. They'll definitely recognize my supreme status at a glance. To be fully prepared, before the New Year's Eve banquet, I accepted the invitation to the Princess Royal's plum viewing banquet. The Princess Royal lives in seclusion and has a bad temper. But this was the only noble I could openly interact with. On the day of the plum viewing banquet, I put on my thickest padded coat, wrapping the 50 gold bracelets inside. Aside from looking a bit bulky, there was almost nothing wrong. I had met the Princess Royal a few times before. She was over 30 but very well preserved, looking no older than 17 or 18. Perhaps because her rules were strict. The plum viewing banquet was rather dull. The nobles' banquets were more boring than I imagined. I sipped my hot tea in small sips. Royal sister, with such strict rules, the banquet is a bit dull. Then leave. I didn't invite you. Sister is always so cold to me. It makes the emperor a little sad. Enough, no more of this depressing talk. The emperor recently took on a new strategist. He's clever and skilled at painting. Zaihua, please paint a plum viewing picture in 3 strokes to entertain everyone. The crowd exclaimed in admiration. With his contribution, the previously lifeless banquet finally livened up a bit. After a few rounds of wine, I felt a bit full, so I excused myself to the Princess Royal to take a walk and digest. The plum garden was large, and the plum trees were planted very densely, so it was only natural that I got lost. I was trying to find my way, when I suddenly caught sight of a pure white figure, standing among the red plum bushes, apparently talking to someone. Don't be careless. Don't you know, they might use the child to lower your guard? I'll handle this myself. Your Majesty, as I wasn't paying attention, I stepped on a plum branch on the ground. A figure flashed by. The white-robed strategist turned around warily and met my eyes. A flicker of killing intent flashed in his eyes, then quickly vanished. It's the wife of the Donghua Marquis. Mr. Zaihua, no need for formalities. I should pay more attention to the Crown Prince's strategist. I just saw your painting, Mr. Zaihua. I was deeply impressed. Speaking of which, that child Chongming is also famous for his paintings. Young Master Chongming's skill is very high. I dare not compare myself to him. His unyielding attitude left me stumped. I was worried about how to start a conversation, when I suddenly heard a noise nearby. The Princess Royal and the Crown Prince emerged from the garden path. Zaihua, Madame Donghua, what are you doing here? He was just telling me that your plum garden, royal sister, was left by the late empress, and even the imperial garden pales in comparison. He wanted to come and see it properly. I suppose you met by chance, Madame Marquis? I was indeed lost, and happened to meet Mr. Zaihua here. Zaihua also bowed, as if confirming my words. The Princess Royal didn't say anything more in the end. She nodded slowly, as if accepting it, and then nothing. The 4 of us stood in the cold wind, forming a square, our eyes engaged in a silent standoff. Just as I was looking confused, the Crown Prince suddenly curled his lips into a smile. He abruptly drew the long sword from his waist, and thrust it at Zaihua. Zaihua remained calm, dodging and blocking the attack with his jade pendant. He was fine, but I was startled. I let out a scream, blocking my view, but no one expected that the jade pendant, shattered in 2, would be deflected by the soft sword, and fly straight toward me. This time, not just me, but the other 3 also changed expression. Zaihua lunged toward me first, but the Crown Prince was in the way, slowing him down. I instinctively raised my arm to block. The jade pendant tore my sleeve, revealing my arm full of large diamond-studded gold bracelets. I was horrified. Oh no, I've shown off my wealth, Your Highness. Despite the Crown Prince's words, my body uncontrollably fell backward. Luckily, Zaihua had already arrived. He opened his arms, starting the motion of using himself as a cushion. I had already flown into his arms. Instantly, 25 large gold bracelets, like iron rings on an arhat, slammed into his chest. Zaihua closed his eyes and spat out a mouthful of blood. I fell to the ground, and he fell too. Madam, the Princess Royal's expression changed. She quickly came to help me. Are you alright? Because I was wearing thick clothes and it was snowy ground, and Zaihua helped cushion my fall. I was completely unharmed. Knowing I was fine, the Princess Royal's brow relaxed slightly. The Crown Prince apologized to me. It was just that the atmosphere at the time was perfect for a sword duel. I didn't expect this outcome. Naturally, he was scolded by the Princess Royal. What could I do? Grab him by the hair and make him kowtow to me twice? Of course, I chose to smile and brush it off. Today was too dangerous. After returning home, I came down with a high fever. Physician Li decocted medicine for me. After taking it, I quickly fell into a deep sleep. In the middle of the night, half asleep, I vaguely heard Suzu and Li Chun's voices. He's fine. It's all my fault. If we could have resolved it sooner. The spy hasn't been found, and they still suspect him. Chongming said his appearing there was too much of a coincidence. The Crown Prince and Princess Royal were both there, hard to judge. We've searched the whole mansion, nothing. He might have already. Any news from your parents? I opened my eyes groggily. Li Chuan's tall figure stood by the bed, as if sensing my gaze. He turned around. His large hand gently and carefully stroked my forehead. Go to sleep. Sleepiness washed over me again. I fell back into a deep sleep. With physician Li's attentive care, I ate well and gained another round of weight. Life in the mansion returned to calm. It felt light when I first became pregnant, but there was a constant feeling of a storm brewing. On the day of the palace banquet, a light snow began to fall. Xiao Cui draped my fox fur cloak over me, and helped me into the carriage. As the wife of the Marquis, I only had one maid accompanying me. It was a bit shabby, but before entering the palace, the guard said there would be palace servants to attend to me inside, so I didn't need to bring my maid. I had no choice but to let him go back first, as I expected. My seat was almost directly below the Empress. My belly was already quite big, and moving around was a bit inconvenient. To avoid any more trouble last time, I didn't dare eat or drink anything. I was afraid of getting lost again while trying to digest. The old emperor looked rather tired. The crown prince and empress sat on either side of him, their eyes smiling. As it neared the middle of the night, I started to feel unwell too. The old emperor looked even more exhausted. The princess royal kept glancing at him with concern. Following her gaze, I unexpectedly met the crown prince's eyes. A sinking feeling rose in my heart for no reason. Suddenly, panic broke out in the crowd. Then, the dancers drew soft swords from their waists. Nobody move, the crown prince shouted, standing up. The palace gates were closed. Several officials sitting in the front were instantly slit throats. Blood stained everything. The empress and crown prince were staging a coup. The old emperor had already been under their control for several months. What are you doing? You're already the crown prince. The throne would have been yours eventually. The Prince of Li? He's been sent to the border as a prince. A leisurely prince at the border. Don't you understand what that means? The crown prince twitched his mouth. He didn't answer. Recent rumors in the capital said the emperor actually intended to change the heir. Sending him to the border was to let him take over the military. The princess royal found it absurd. The crown prince didn't care what she thought. He waved for his guards to kill her. A flash of sword light. A figure jumped out from behind the princess royal, blocking the attack. Suzu, I exclaimed, seeing the familiar figure. The crown prince snorted coldly, not surprised. He waved for his guards to stop them, while he left with the emperor. I was still wondering why he was so confident, when several men in barbarian clothes crashed through the windows. More men in barbarian clothes followed. The crown prince had colluded with the northern Rome. I gasped. I hid under the table, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, someone grabbed me. Hey, Li Chun, you see? Take the small path, someone will meet you there. Where are you going? Sorry, don't go. I refused to let go, panicked. I whispered in his ear. Are you looking for the imperial seal? Under Pei Linchuan's shocked gaze, I made a long sheetery short. Since I was a child, I've helped my father manage the family business. Besides those refined poems and paintings, I have a good eye for treasures. So the first time I saw that small dragon-headed square seal, I knew it was the emperor's jade seal. How could something lie that be in a servant's room? The Marquis family were all loyal and righteous. They couldn't possibly have stolen the jade seal. Taking the seal on the spot would have raised suspicion, so I found a way to keep that person close to me. Unable to go back and retrieve the seal, my family's business is quite extensive. That night, I went through nearly 10 meters of oat books. I found that the northern mining operations had been very profitable lately. I followed the trail and investigated. I asked my father to use his connections to track the buyer of the iron ore, the crown prince. The crown prince was buying large amounts of iron ore and exporting it north. What he intended to do was obvious. That day, I made up an excuse to send that person on an errand for me. I secretly hid the jade seal. The next day, that person was indeed acting strange, but maybe because I usually act so foolish. He suspected me a little, but wasn't sure. The crown prince wanted to usurp the throne through treason. Without the imperial seal, his claim would be illegitimate, so he didn't dare to touch me recklessly. After all, if I were stubborn, he'd never find out where the seal was. As for that tiny, two-finger-sized imperial seal, I melted it into the gold memorial tablet. Going to the ancestral hall to pay respects every day was to check if the seal was still there. No wonder you treasured that tablet so much. Even so, Pei Linchun couldn't help but chuckle. But thanks to you hiding the seal, we bought this much time. To control the emperor, the crown prince specially found a way to concoct a drug. The princess royal noticed something was wrong, but the crown prince was vigilant, and the empress's clan was powerful. The capital was already under their control. Only the marquis's mansion was willing to help the emperor. The marquis's mansion hid the imperial seal for the emperor, but on the way, it was intercepted by the crown prince's spy in the mansion. Openly, they had no way out. They could only fake their deaths and operate in the shadows. We thought we didn't have enough time. The old marquis and his wife went to get reinforcements, but the crown prince delayed for some reason. I wonder what he was waiting for. I was shocked. So you all faked your deaths, but didn't take me. Pei Linchun stiffened slightly. That night, we originally planned to send you to the border. The Prince of Li is my friend. He's there. The crown prince's reach doesn't extend there, but they didn't know who the mole in the mansion was, so they put on an act. Then you ended up pregnant. The road to the border is too long, and you could be ambushed anytime. We couldn't leave the capital. Everyone was afraid you couldn't handle it, so we had to leave you here and take turns protecting you. Just as he was speaking, a cold wind suddenly blew from behind me. Pei Linchun hugged me and dodged. A long sword sank deep into the ground. Madam, and you, young marquis, where are you going? I turned around. Uncle Wen emerged from the shadows, a cold glint in his eyes. Uncle Wen was the crown prince's inside man. I knew it. Pei Linchun told me to go first. I ran without stopping. After all, staying would only hold them back. It was better to just get out of there. But as I ran, I suddenly ended up in front of the crown prince. Bodies were strewn haphazardly across the imperial garden, more bloody than a slaughterhouse. What's going on? Did the poison have to take effect now? The crown prince was in the imperial garden, one hand gripping the dying emperor, the other holding a sword. In front of him were the battered princess royal and Pei Suzu. Zihua, no, Pei Chongming, stood in front of them, blood at the corner of his mouth. What are you doing here? He was clearly startled to see me. Sorry, I got lost. A vein bulged on Pei Chongming's temple. The crown prince smiled at Pei Chongming. After all this time spying on me, did you guess today would happen? It's not easy being my strategist. Pei Chongming's health was already poor. He was at the end of his strength. They fought again, but in just a few moves, he was quickly defeated. The long sword swung straight at Pei Chongming's head. Pei Suzu rushed over in terror, trying to block the sword. The next second, the crown prince's sword was knocked askew by a pebble. The blade shattered in two. The crown prince froze for a second, then turned to look at me. Suddenly, he burst into laughter. Rumor has it that among my father's secret guards, there's a hidden guard no one has ever seen. His martial arts are unmatched. It's an honor to meet you today. I stood still, expressionless. It's a pity that if you weren't pregnant, you might have been able to met me. With this child, you're very inconvenienced, aren't you? I felt a sense of gravity. I had to admit he was right. But if you hand over the imperial seal, I'll spare your life. Ridiculous. The emperor only had 2 sons. To clear the path for the crown prince, he didn't hesitate to send his beloved Prince of Li to the border. Who would have thought that, due to rumors and suspicion, the crown prince would commit treason? None of your business. Pei Chongming was visibly moved, blood seeping from his lips. I'll cover your retreat. Pei Suzu also looked up. Sister-in-law, go quickly. We can handle things here. You 2 foolish children. I shook my head. Look. Can you even stand up? Seeing no reaction from me, the crown prince clicked his tongue in disappointment. This time, he went all out. The sound of a sword piercing flesh was especially harsh, except it pierced the crown prince's flesh. The crown prince couldn't believe it. He turned around. Uncle Wen lay limp on the ground, a corpse. Pei Linchun stood expressionless, withdrawing his long sword. Old buddy, I really don't know what you were going on about. I never said I threw that pebble. The crown prince didn't get to finish before his throat was slit. The sound of chaos came from outside. The Prince of Li had entered the city with his army. The Princess Royal, as the representative, reluctantly cut off the crown prince's head and walked outside. She announced loudly, the crown prince has been executed. No more fighting. A huge weight lifted from my heart. Fatigue and nausea washed over me. Pei Linchun noticed something was wrong with me. He came to support me. Madam, what's wrong? Are you hurt? I felt queasy, and vomited all over him. The Donghua Marquis family had rendered great service. I was also granted the title of lady. The rumor of me being a jinx was disproven, but afterward, I felt something was off. It turned out Pei Linchun married me, just to have an excuse for the whole family to fake their deaths. Learning this broke my heart. I lost my appetite and grew haggard day by day. The whole Marquis family didn't understand why. It was Pei Suzu who found a way to get the reason out of me. Pei Linchun was made the scapegoat, and sent to explain. The Princess Royal had found out the Crown Prince bought iron ore from my family's business. A transaction of that size couldn't be done without connections. They once suspected that your father was also involved in the Crown Prince's rebellion, so bringing you here was also to keep you as a hostage. Later, they suspected you were a spy, although they sometimes thought you were just a naive fool. The plan had already started. They couldn't change it midway. Anyway, during that time, everyone in the Marquis's mansion sees me and wishes they could bury their heads in the ground. Even my dignified father-in-law, when talking to me, keeps his eyes as if they're lame, looking at the sky and ground, just not at me. Pei Chong-ming, to avoid me, stopped painting in the courtyard, his favorite pastime, and crouches in his room like a quail. My mother-in-law frantically shoves heirloom jewelry into my hands. Pei Suzu brings snacks from morning till night, and even asks if I want to hear a tune. Pei Lin-chun, He kneels during the day to massage my legs and shoulders, and studies parenting at night. It's a dream for him. The more I think, the angrier I get, angrier and angrier, angry enough to spiral up to heaven. Then, the day I started bleeding, the whole mansion echoed with my heart-wrenching screams. Pei Lin-chun, teary-eyed, knelt by my bed, wiping his tears and murmuring, "My lady, if heaven wants to take you, then I will surely lie and die with you." I couldn't take it anymore. Shut up. Pei Lin-chun, I'll really beat you to death. Alright, you're safe. Beat me as you please. When Meishi was 1 month old, the old Marquis was so happy he spun around 3 times. At the full moon banquet, with a grand wave of his hand, he decided to take the Bai to the ancestral hall to honor the ancestors, telling them the Pei family had one more member. Pei Susu and Pei Lin-chun, who were drinking freely, changed expression as the ancestral hall doors swung open. A dozen golden heads of the Marquis family hung at the door, extremely dazzling among them. The old Marquis's head was inlaid with 8 white jade teeth. Smiling with strength and confidence, the old Marquis stepped back in disbelief, bumping into the equally stunned Pei Chong-ming. Pei Susu and Pei Lin-chun turned their faces away, quietly playing dead. Everyone stood silent as chickens in the wind, but the Bai in the old Marquis's arms, Pei Xin, giggled. The old Marquis, with a fragile look, trembled as he glanced at the Bai in his arms, then looked at his smiling daughter-in-law beside him. In the end, he honestly decided